Hi folks, and welcome back to the Grampee Gamer channel. That's it, you guessed it. This is that channel where you get to see this old git talk about modern games. Okay, so for today's comments then, it's Halloween. I love Halloween with it, all the parties going on, people dressing up, fantastic games to play. So because it's Halloween, I just wanted to run through 10 scary games that you might want to play this Halloween that you may not have played before. So I want to cover some of the games I've played on the PSVR1 as well as the PSVR2. So the first one that I recommend, which I'm sure most people have played it if they've got a PSVR1, would be Rush of Blood. I think this was the first sort of horror experience that I had on the PSVR1. And it just blew me away. I mean, it was creepy, everything. I remember one level that's quite early on. It might be the second level. Might even be the first, can't remember. But it's the one where you're going through and all the pigs are squealing and they've got their heads cut off and their guts are cut open. And yeah, it's pretty horrifying. And for animal lovers, which I am one, it's, it makes it more uneasy. But yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, top-notch game. It's pretty simple. You're just riding a roller coaster and you're shooting the things that are coming up. Towards the end, there's these really fast, sort of zombies that just move so strange. I've never seen things move in a game like that. They're so, you'll know if you played it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But of course, these zombies and all sorts of things come right up to the car that you're in on the roller coaster. And yeah, it's a lot of fun, so I definitely recommend that one, 100%. Now, probably the scariest VR game on the PSVR1 has to be Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The only problem with this game is you can only use it with the DualShock 4. It hasn't had an update, an upgrade for the PSVR2. I know there's been some talk recently about a PS5 version of Resi 7. I don't know whether that's true. I think, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe it's going to be backwards compatible. So you're going to play the PS4 version on the PS5. It doesn't say anything about the Sense controllers or anything. So I'm hoping it is a remake, an upgrade. Not even a remake, but an upgrade to PSVR2. So I'm not getting too excited yet. Like I say, I've heard that people are getting really excited because it's possibly coming to PSVR2. But yeah, I would temper your expectations at the minute. Let's wait and see what happens. If it does get a PSVR2 version, that will be incredible. And of course, I'm going to dive straight back in. Because for me, although I've got rock solid VR legs, this game, Biohazard, on the PSVR1 with the DualShock did give me some motion sickness over time. And it's purely because you're moving left and right with the thumbsticks, whilst when you're using Move controllers or you're moving Sense controllers, you can just turn on the spot. And that for me, I tend to find if I'm moving too fast left and right with the thumbstick and spinning around, that can make me feel a bit queasy. But overall, it's a fantastic game. I remember when I started playing it on the PSVR1, I had two cats sleeping next to me, and it was when I think Maria just leaps out of a cupboard or something like that, and I jumped so high, the cats absolutely bricked themselves, flying out the cat flap, and they actually both broke the cat flap as they were trying to get out, because both of them were trying to get out at the same time. So yeah, completely broke the cat flap. So poor cats. So yeah, I definitely recommend Biohazard. If you've got a PSVR1 and you haven't played it, you're mad. You definitely need to play this game in VR. Just be aware that it could give you a bit of motion sickness. So, and the next one is Exorcist Legion VR. Now, I can't say too much about this one. I've only played the first episode. It's definitely one that I want to dive back into. I played this on the PSVR1. This does have a VR2 upgrade, so it is definitely one I want to dive back in and go through the whole game on the VR2. So from what I have played, I would say, yeah, this is a good time. You're going to enjoy it. You like your horror games. You like more sort of demonic type things rather than just zombies or something like that. Then, yeah, it's definitely a game for you. So I can definitely recommend it. And finally, the last one I can recommend on the PSVR1 which I have to say was my favourite horror experience on the VR1. 100%. And that is Paranormal Activity, The Lost Soul. It was such a surprise for me. I didn't expect it to be much, to be fair. And yeah, it's pretty blurry. You're using the Move controllers. But actually, when you're in the house, it's so creepy. So creepy. And I absolutely loved it. And I was gutted when that game finished. So if you haven't played Paranormal Activity, then seriously, folks, you've got to dive in. It's such a fun game. I mean, there's one scene where, I won't say too much, but you go through a door and the whole house changes. The walls are like blood red. The windows are flying in, glass flying in your face. There's Star of David everywhere up on the wall. There's candles up. The sounds, it's just an overload when you're walking through that part of the house. But if you can stomach it, it's a fantastic game. So I can definitely recommend that one. Now, those were PSVR1 games, so I'm going to move on to PSVR2. And we're looking at Very Bad Dreams. Now, this was literally a collection of people's nightmares. That's the only way I can explain it. Very weird, very creepy, bit janky. You know, there's a bit of jank in there, but to be honest, I can suffer a bit of jank unless it's really bad. But, you know, most of us can suffer a bit of jank, especially if it's a cheaper game. You sort of, okay, fair enough. It's not a 30 quid, 40 quid game. It's only like 15 quid or whatever. Then you can sort of put up with it, I find anyway. So I would say, yeah, definitely have a look at Very Bad Dreams. Yeah, I mean, there's one bit in there. Again, I won't say too much, but it really did feel like I was in a nightmare. It was pretty horrible. I mean, I wouldn't say it scared me stupid, but it just made me feel really uneasy. So I think they've done a very good job of making it feel like you're in a nightmare. So I can't remember the price of it, but again, that's a game definitely worth looking at. And the next one, which used to be the scariest game, in my opinion, on the VR2, is Propagation Paradise Hotel. Now, I absolutely loved this game. It had me bricking myself. Seriously, my legs had turned to jelly when I'm walking through that house and there's flies everywhere and corpses everywhere, and you have no idea which ones are going to come to life and start flipping trying to eat your face off. But such a scary game. And there's a bit when you're crawling through vents and this creature comes through the vent at you, and it just, it gave me spine tingles right the way down my spine. I know when a game's got me when that happens. And yeah, it's a great game. Again, I don't think it's very expensive, but it's the only problem with it is it's too short. It ends literally right in the middle of the adventure. So I did speak to the developers and say, you know, when's part 2 coming out? But they didn't have anything. They couldn't give me anything. You know, I said to them at the time, this is the scariest game on the PSVR2 to date, hands down. So they appreciated that comment because it definitely was at the time. Now, the resis we're going to look at on the PSVR2, we got the Resident Evil 8 Village. A lot of people prefer this one than Resident Evil 4 Remake VR mode. Me personally, I preferred 4, but let's talk about 8 first. Some of the set pieces are fantastic. I did play this game first off on the flat screen, so I did play it all the way through on the flat screen before the VR mode came out. So I knew what I was getting in VR, but blimey, that fetus or whatever it is, giant fetus baby monster with its umbilical cord just trailing around the floor. When you first come up against that and see how big it is, I mean, crikey, it's imposing. It's literally huge. It's that towers way above me. And yeah, that's the creepiest part of the game, hands down. The rest of it really, I don't find scary. It's just shooting werewolves and other things, and it doesn't have a scary vibe. It's a lot of fun, don't get me wrong. Resi 8 Village is an amazing game. And when you go inside the house, and Demetresque's house, or however you pronounce her name, when you go inside her house and see all the chandeliers, and It's just so impressive. And then, of course, when she walks up to you, I mean, she's literally about 10 feet tall. So, yeah, again, she's very impressive when you see her stood up there and picks you up by the neck. You do feel quite small next to her. But so I can definitely recommend Resi 8. It's a fabulous game. You'll have a lot of fun with it. But if you're looking for a really scary game, then this isn't it. And that goes the same really for Resi 4 Remake. Fantastic game. Resi 4 is more of an action horror game than a scary horror game. I would say Resi 8 is more... It's still an action game, but not in the way that Resi 4 is. Resi 4 is more about all the gunplay, which is fantastic. The sounds of the guns are fantastic. The weapon handling is fantastic. The only odd bit is the way they've done your sort of inventory. In Resi 8, you just open your jacket and you pull things out that way. It will go into your main inventory. With Resi 4, things are sort of out in a weird setting. And as you lean forward, they sort of swing out. So it makes things a lot more accessible, yeah, but it's just a bit weird, especially when you're looking down off a ledge and you see all your weapons and things sort of floating in front of you. I understand why they did it. Me personally, I prefer when I've got weapons and things on my hips, then it's a bit more immersive than grabbing things that are just floating in front of you. But having said that, it's a fabulous game. I never played Resi 4 when it initially came out. I'm not sure why I missed that back then, but I didn't play it. I didn't jump back into Resi until Resi 5, which I really enjoyed. It gets slated a lot, but I really enjoyed Resi 5. I went through the whole thing with a friend of mine, co-op, and it was a blast. But anyway, back to Resi 4. Everything looks great. I find the set pieces look even nicer in Resi 4. I find the graphics nicer, although I've heard people say they prefer the graphics in Resi 8. So, you know, it's all put down a personal opinion. But yeah, I did find the set pieces much, much nicer. Looked nicer, had better atmosphere. Yeah, it was superb. I mean, I know people complained about this game that you go into third person when you do a roundhouse kick or when you climb ladders. That really didn't bother me, especially climbing the ladders, because it allowed me to look around behind me as I'm climbing the ladder to see if there's anybody there when I get up top. So that it wasn't game breaking for me. I know I've heard other people saying, oh yeah, it just ruined the game for me. And yeah, not at all. I wouldn't get put off by that at all, folks. It is a brilliant, brilliant game. So that's those covered now. Oh dear, this is the one. This is the one that gets me. Madison VR. Now, if you want to be scared this Halloween night, play Madison VR. I haven't even finished the game. I said this yesterday. Was it yesterday, day before yesterday in my video? I haven't even finished it, but it is hands down the scariest game by far I have ever played. And this is why it's taken me so long to jump back in, because every time, like I said yesterday, I go to dive in, I think, oh no, oh God, my knees are going to be knocking. I'll leave it for now. And then I just put it off and put it off and put it off. But tonight I'm jumping back in. So if you guys want to see me brick myself and call out for my mummy, then come and watch me on my Twitch channel, Grampee Gamer VR. I shall be streaming probably between maybe sort of 5:30 to 7 is when I'm going to start. So look out for my stream. But those are 10 games that I like on the PSVR 1 and 2. I just thought I would go through them with you, see if there's any there that you might like that you haven't played before that you want to give a go later on tonight. So that's it for today's video, folks. I hope you liked it. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, subscribe if you haven't, and share it if you think anybody else would be interested in my nonsense content. So until next time, folks, I shall see you guys on the spooky side. Adios.